Hello Cancer, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for September for the Sun or the Ascendant. As ever, I'm going to give you the broad themes to look out for your sign, with a particular emphasis on the Moon, your ruler. But please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail all the key influences and dates particularly relevant to you. Now, as this month begins, the Sun is in a very bubbly, lively third house. That's very much about using your mind. However, it is true that Venus, the planet of love and affection, starts the month in a very buoyant part of your situation as far as your resources. And I'm hoping there has been some uptick for you in that regard over the last few weeks. But by the 5th of the month, Venus joins up with the Sun in the sign of Virgo. So your thoughts, your ideas, how you articulate them are going to be key in the following few weeks. Now, of course, we have had a very tricky time for the world economy and also for people's health with COVID. And part of the reason for this, I think, has been the role of Uranus. And Uranus does tighten its grip in a right angle to Saturn, the planet of restriction, this month. Uranus is in a part of your horoscope that's pushing you to think about new ways to plan your future, whereas Saturn's reminding you of the financial reality. So there may be a little bit of a juggle that you have to consider there. But the full moon, which occurs on the 10th, also coincides with Mercury going into a retrograde. So I need to explain that, but there are real opportunities for you in particular to network and connect to like-minded people. However, by the end of the month, there's a kind of homey feel to your chart. Your natural desire to feel safe and secure and to be with loved ones is definitely emphasized by the new moon, which occurs in the sign of Libra on the 25th, and that's going to also be augmented by Venus moving into this area on the 29th. So lots of exciting things to share with you, Cancer. If you are wanting to embrace more serious astrology and rise above this Zodiac forecast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you a roadmap that can guide you for the rest of your life, help you to identify opportunities, but also see patterns that may have made at times your life more challenging and learn how to work around these. But in my special offer of 30% off, if you order this year, I'll give you your year 2023 forecast within this package, but also the rest of 2022 free. Please see the link below. And finally, if you are new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. If you've already done so, thank you so much for your support. But if not, please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Thank you. So Cancer, as you make your way into September, the financial part of your situation does show a little bit of promise, despite the big headwinds that we're all experiencing. The Sun is in that bubbly third house. So what's the catch? Well, it is really the role of Mars, because Mars is tucked up in a very psychological area and will be through to the 25th of March next year. And if there is any dormant or unresolved emotional issues lying deep within your psyche, they could really come to the surface between now and then. So as much as there is this chatty, interactive vibe coming from the Sun, which is going to be augmented by Venus from the 5th, just be aware that sometimes what we say doesn't always match our inner emotional world. And finding the balance between the two is going to be the trick this month. But despite Mars being in a deep state in your situation, it is forging an absolutely brilliant link with Mercury in the first 10 days of this month. And that gives you an opportunity, I feel, to use your inner resources or past skills and experiences in order to shape the home or emotional life you do need. But your intellect will be as important to this process as your more emotional responses. Now, on the 10th through to the 15th, we do have the Sun in a tricky quincunx with Saturn. So the third house energy for you has to compete with the 8th house energy. This is where you're most invested. So anything to do with contracts or negotiations will need a little bit of care. It may feel that you're pushing a boulder uphill a little bit for those few days. But having said that, in week 2, the Sun's brilliant and enterprising alliance with Uranus asks you to use your mind to plan your future hopes in a way which just sees you marshalling your emotional world and just embracing the opportunities that you can generate by thinking afresh, trying different approaches, mixing with people who have an electric and rather a rather unusual vibe about them. I think that you can have some fascinating conversations around week 2 of this month. But of course, Mercury does start this month in shadow in your 4th house, which means that you need to work at keeping things clear with your emotions, and that will get stronger from the 10th when Mercury goes into the retrograde fully. Also on the 10th, of course, we have the full moon, particularly relevant to your sign because you are governed by the moon. So this full moon in the sign of Pisces, your sister water sign, is asking you to think a lot about your higher ideals, your principles, whereas the Sun's much more attuned to those everyday chats that we have that perhaps are more pragmatic. But Uranus is intersecting both positions in actually a very helpful way. So if you get someone coming up with a different set of ideas and you find it a bit challenging, try not to be too thwarted by this or fearful. Looking at an old situation in a fresh way could actually reveal a new solution. Also, if you're keen to change your longer term plans around a situation and you're trying to discuss it with someone else, you may need to have a certain amount of patience around the process. There could be a little bit of resistance. And part of the reason for this is that they may feel you're not being completely realistic. And that's because the Sun goes into an opposition with Neptune in week 3. If you are grappling with any documentation, trying to reach an agreement with someone, planning any travel expeditions, this can be an exciting phase, but details will really matter. So don't take any shortcuts. But there is a terrific angle from the 17th to the 22nd, which can enliven your love life, particularly if you're single. If you're involved in a relationship, it's never too late to try different things. And the more spontaneous you and your partner can be, the more you can both grow. There's also a gorgeous trine between the Sun and Pluto from the 16th to the 22nd, which could see something significantly altering in your life, either in your inner world or your outer world. Some kind of key transformation is possible. The autumnal equinox of the 23rd, however, does see the Sun move into the 4th house, very much in keeping with the energies of your sign. And there is a conjunction between the Sun and Mercury, a cazimi on the same day. Something that may have been baffling you, perhaps someone close to you has been out of touch or there's been some mixed signals. Now you can get some clarity, but on the same day, Mercury inverts back into the second sign it governs after Gemini of Virgo. But that actually can see you discussing an idea with a sibling, a neighbour, someone you get on well with, and getting a little bit more urgency in the plan. Now on the 24th, Venus takes its turn to go into opposition with Neptune. This is one of the most idealistic of all links. If you do get chatting to someone new around that time, they could actually, or you could encounter someone who really has a profound impact on your being, and it could be someone really inspirational. But Neptune can be the trickster planet bar none. So if you are feeling that you're opening up to someone, probably best to keep a little bit of a protective layer before you really reveal all of yourself to them. The 25th, however, sees the new moon in your 4th house. So if you want to move, want to redecorate, want to remodel, want to change your physical world in terms of your everyday environment, there's a great opportunity to do so. And some kind of worldly fortune can come for you in the following 3 or 4 weeks. Could be linked to a job. Maybe it's going to be someone's support for something you're trying to do, someone influential. But on the 29th, as Venus moves into the sign of Libra to catch up with the Sun, this would be a great time to buy some new furnishings or redecorate, find ways to bring your environment into a more pleasing and comforting space. Now, of course, Saturn is in that very challenging right angle with Uranus all this month. So it's not a great time to be too idealistic about money. I wouldn't mix business with pleasure without a great deal of thought. However, later in the month, Mars actually forges a very positive link to Saturn. And once more, it could be your inner resources, your past skills or instincts, which actually help you to guide a more practical issue in a very astute way. And with Mercury linking superbly to Pluto in the last week, your insightful observations can really be very helpful if you are thinking about where to live, how to live there, and who with, a purchase or a let, or some kind of significant commitment. I think you're going to have a lot of astral tools in order to guide your moves with a maximum amount of clarity. So really this month does require us all to work with the Mercury retrograde the best we can, but also be very conscious of the swirling mist that is Neptune that can delight or deceive in equal measure.